5 days ago, the Louvre reopened its most famous gallery. Empty, robbed of its crown jewels in under 8 minutes. But this museum's strangest disappearance is 200 years older. The most famous statue in the world is missing more than her arms. The stone that named her maker walked into the Louvre in 1821 and never came out. Lost? Or made to disappear? April 1820. The island of Melos in the Aegean under Ottoman rule. A farmer digging near the ruins of an ancient theatre breaks through into a buried chamber. Inside is a woman carved in marble in 2 massive pieces. We don't even know the digger's name for certain. It was first written down 42 years later, and the sources still can't agree on it. But we know exactly what came out of that hole, because a 23-year-old French naval ensign named Olivier Voutier was there with a sketchbook, and his drawings survive. They show 3 things that matter. 1. A left hand holding an apple. 2. The statue's arms already gone, broken off, most likely centuries earlier. And 3. A block of marble with Greek letters cut into it. Remember that block. It is the reason this story has never been closed. Because you've probably heard the other version. French sailors and Greek islanders brawling on the beach, the statue dropped in the struggle, her arms shattering on the rocks. It's a great story. It is also an invention. It first appears in print in 1874, 54 years after the fact, published after the man telling it had already died, and every document actually written in 1820 contradicts it. The people who were there described her arms as already broken. The myth gave the world someone to blame. The truth is stranger. Nobody broke the Venus de Milo. Time did. What happened next reads like a thriller. Before the French could close the deal, the island's leaders sold her to a translator for the Ottoman fleet, and by late May she was aboard a ship bound for Constantinople. A young French diplomat, the Vicomte de Marcellus, sailed into the bay just in time, argued her off that ship, and paid a price so badly recorded that sources still disagree. Somewhere between 1,000 and 6,000 francs, depending on whose account you believe. Roughly the price of a herd of goats for what would become the most famous statue on Earth. On the 1st of March 1821, the Marquis de Rivière presented her to King Louis XVIII, and she entered the Louvre's register as a gift. No price, no questions. And the timing could not have been better. After Napoleon's fall, France had been forced to hand back around 5,000 looted masterpieces. The Medici Venus, the museum's great classical beauty, had gone home to Florence. The Louvre didn't just want this new Venus. It needed her. And it needed her to be a masterpiece of the golden age of Greece. Carved, the scholars announced, in the circle of Praxiteles, the most celebrated sculptor of antiquity. There was just one problem. She came with a signature, and it was the wrong name. The inscribed block fitted against the statue's base, and the letters spelled out a sentence. Alexandros, son of Menides, citizen of Antioch on the Maeander, made the statue. Alexandros, a nobody. And worse, Antioch on the Maeander was founded around 280 BC, roughly half a century after Praxiteles died. If that block belonged to her, the Louvre's new icon was no Golden Age treasure. She was carved centuries later by an unknown. The museum's director, the Comte de Forbin, ruled that the incongruous block was a later addition and did not need to be displayed. Then, sometime in 1821, inside one of the most closely guarded buildings in France, the block vanished. It has never been found. All that survives is a drawing by a young artist named Auguste Debay, made at the request of painter Jacques-Louis David's Circle before the stone disappeared. If you like your art history with unsolved disappearances, subscribing costs a lot less than a herd of goats, and nothing on this channel has ever mysteriously vanished. So, was it a cover-up? That accusation is not an internet theory. It is older than photography. In 1854, the French archaeologist Charles Lenormand wrote that the Louvre had deliberately made the inscription disappear. In 1893, the German scholar Adolf Furtwängler redated the statue to the Hellenistic era and called the missing stone an awkward witness that had to be quietly got out of the way. The Louvre's defenders tell a different story. The writer Paul Carus argued the block was simply lost because nobody cared for it. Carelessness, not conspiracy. A senior curator of Greek antiquities later called deliberate destruction inconceivable. And some modern scholars, including a former director of the Louvre itself, doubt the block ever belonged to the statue at all. In Voutier's sketch, they argue it could be the base of a separate monument. With the stone gone, that link can be neither proved nor disproved. Which is, if you think about it, the perfect outcome for anyone who wanted it gone. So, who was Alexandros of Antioch? Here is the twist nobody expects. Inscriptions found at Thespiae in central Greece record an Alexandros, son of Menides, from Antioch on the Maeander, winning contests around 80 BC. Not sculpture contests. Singing. If the readings are right, the hand behind the most famous statue in the world belonged to a traveling contract artist who was also a prize-winning singer. A name that history nearly erased twice. Once by a museum, once by time. And the arms themselves? During the Louvre's restoration study around 2010, scientific analysis supported what the 19th century refused to believe, that the rougher hand with the apple found in that same hole on Melos most likely belongs to her. So we can guess. Furtwängler restored her on paper holding an apple. Others see her gripping a shield like her sister statue from Capua. One theory even has her spinning thread. Every reconstruction shares one thing: it can never be proven. She survived war, 3 evacuations, and a trip to Japan in 1964, where over 800,000 people filed past her in Tokyo alone. Today she stands nearly alone in her own room at the Louvre, Salle 345. The label states her date around 150 to 125 BC. The line where the artist's name should be is empty. An empty gallery upstairs where the crown jewels used to shine. Empty air where her arms should be. And an empty line where a name should stand because a block of marble walked into this museum and never walked out. So here is the question. 2 centuries of curators say carelessness. 2 centuries of skeptics say suppression. Accident or erased? Pick a side in the comments. And if you want another masterpiece that refuses to give up its secrets, watch what happened when a bomb flattened everything around Leonardo's Last Supper, except the wall it was painted on. Until next time.